All right, good morning, everyone. Jim Coventry from RotoWire here. Crazy, hectic morning. Glad to answer your questions. Still waiting for inactive stuff to come through. And let's just get at when questions come in. We'll definitely answer them. I'm going to answer somebody on this page right here for a second while we're getting it. Is it my Twitter feed? Okay, there we go. So anybody has a question, go ahead, fire. Good, we go. Here we go. What a disaster week. Yes, absolutely. Daily, howdy, good to see you, man. Scott, glad you're here. Robert, glad you're here. Definitely glad everybody's here. Excited to answer some questions. I'm waiting for inactives to pour in. Julio Jones is out. Rojo or Gus Edwards this week. I can't with conviction say that Baltimore game is getting played. Now it's Mark Andrews is on the list. The COVID list is growing. Morning. So I would not trust anybody in that Ravens-Pittsburgh game unless there's clarity. If there's an absolute, the NFL says, we are playing, we're not playing this game. It is very important you understand that. So I will recommend Rojo because I can't trust that Pittsburgh game to go off. The numbers are going to keep going up. Standard league, Robert, Pittman or Bernard. Pittman went for 101 yards last time against them, and 3 weeks ago against Tennessee. He runs those shallow crossers that are just perfect for Phillip Rivers. I expect that to completely be the continuation. Pittman's growing into an alpha there. Bernard is not in a good spot here with really a third-string quarterback, Brandon Allen. So I'm definitely going to recommend you go with Pittman here. And let's see, over on YouTube, the RotoWire page here, Robert, you got morning, Robert. Sony Michel or some waiver. You know what? Some waiver. Because, first of all, I expect that New England's going to trail in this game. I really think it's a James White game here. And, look, Damian Harris has played well. I can't see Michel taking more than 5 carries away, and that's probably a high-end number. So I would definitely look to some waiver wire, see what's out there, let me know what you got. All right, let's see. Hayden Hurst or Hooper, ouch. So Hayden Hurst it's small sample size. He has been horrible every time that Julio is not on the field. Julio's out today. I believe that's a thing. And so I would say Austin Hooper here. And they'll throw some. I don't know how much they'll have to throw against Jacksonville, but I'm going to go with Hooper just because that thing with Hurst has just been too real to me. All right, let's see. Fire up Rojo. Deontay Johnson then instead of the same game. That game could get canceled, and they could cancel it tomorrow. And if that's the problem and you hang a 0 on that, it's terrible. It's an absolutely horrible situation for fantasy managers, but I have no confidence that game is getting played. And I know the Denver-New Orleans game is going today, but it's almost like Denver's not a playoff team. New Orleans is. But both of those games in the Baltimore-Pittsburgh are playoff teams, and I just can't see them putting that competitive disadvantage against Baltimore. I just can't sign off on any ball. You play with risk if you're going to start Deontay. Just understand the 0 is there. That game may not take place. All right, Hines or Gallman. Wow, GPP. Hines did great against Tennessee the last time they played. There's no Jonathan Taylor. He's a great stylistic fit to play against them. Jordan Wilkins is not good. He could have part of a good game. Gallman's looked great. Gallman has looked phenomenal, and he's running hard. He's scoring touchdowns. But you know what? Hines catches the ball, and at the end of the day, in a GPP, those receptions, those pile up. I like Hines there because I think the receiving game could be big for him. Robert, all right, standard Pittman or Jacoby Myers. At this point, Myers played all but one snap last week. So he didn't have the game we wanted him to, but the good news was that he's on the field. But Pittman is an emerging star. I know he had 3 routes, but he had Jair Alexander on him, and he's the number 1 graded corner for Pro Football Focus. And I think a lot of that was the simple fact that it was a nightmare matchup. He still came through 60 yards and a touchdown. Pittman all day long because Pittman had 7 for 101 against his defense a few weeks ago, runs those shallow crossers. That's what makes Phillip Rivers go. So I'm going to say Pittman here because I just believe he's their alpha right now. EC, appreciate that, man. Appreciate the comment. Daily, appreciate you, man. Conan, all right. Mike Williams, you're under the radar. My concern with Mike Williams is he rarely runs left, wide receiver, and that's primarily the side of the field where we see Tre'Davious White. Tre'Davious White is not going into the slot to follow Keenan Allen, in my opinion. I really believe that that's going to be a Mike Williams draw, and Mike Williams doesn't see enough consistent targets, and Mike Williams is not a terrible option. He still can come through, but see what's on the waiver wire. Throw some names out there for me. I'm on the stream to like a 30, half the hour, depending on your time zone, under 40 minutes. So definitely let me know what we're going to go with there. But, give me some choices and I'll let you know. Mike Williams is not a terrible play, but he has a really tough cornerback matchup here. All right. Anybody else have questions here? Go ahead, pop them through if you do. I don't see anything up there right now. Let me check the inactives while we are doing this right now, see what else has come up. Jets offensive lineman Alex Lewis inactive. Their running game, which is not great to start, is even worse. Miami's been really good against. They're getting better, I should say, getting better against the run. So if you were thinking of sneaking Frank Gore or not hitting a guard hurts him as well. Tony Michel is inactive, but as I told somebody earlier, I cannot see him taking many touches. Damian Harris has been a real thing for them. And it's, I don't know how they move him out. And I think they're going to trail. And I think James White's going to be heavily involved. James White's a great play. Deebo Samuel. Well, we don't know for sure what the whole status is going here, especially with the Ayuk situation. But I think Samuel, they move him around a lot. So that helps. And the Rams are stopping the downfield passing game extremely well. I don't know with the way they deploy Samuel. They move him to the slot. They do jet sweep motion. I don't know if you could both of our corners are good. I don't think they could just assign Jalen Ramsey to him. So I think Deebo Samuel has at least a floor in this game. In the way they use him, he could be effective here. So I think that you play him. Understand there's a little more downside than usual, but I think he's going to see enough work. Again, they get him the ball quick. They get it to him in space. They scheme him open. So I think Deebo Samuel is a fine play. He's not an upside play, but he's definitely a good choice to go with today. All right. Golden Tate or Hooper? Golden Tate seems to have fallen out of favor a bit in New York right now. I know he had the thing where they benched him for a game. His target share hasn't been there. I just don't see him going to him a lot. And, of course, we know that Mayfield may throw the ball only 20 times in this game. But I think there's a scenario where the Browns realize they can get a good confidence builder for Mayfield because the Jacksonville team can't stop anybody through the air. So Hooper is not a bad play this week. They both have a lot of downside, but I probably would go toward Hooper a bit here because also I think in that Giants matchup, they can run the ball with success. Their outside receivers, William Jackson doesn't scare me this year. So their outside receivers going to get some work. Good matchup for Evan Ingram. I think just Tate's on the lower end of the pecking order here. So Hooper, it's not an optimal matchup. You know that. All right, let's see. Robert, Booker, Gore, or Wilkins. You know what? All right. So Wilkins should get some opportunity here. He probably gets 8 to 10 carries because Hines won't play every down. And the matchup is not bad. And I know he didn't do well against them the last time it went on. So I'm going to say go with Jordan Wilkins there. That'd be the route to go because he could also score a short touchdown. That gives him a little. Gore missing the left guard. Miami's been better against the run lately. I know he's going to get some work, but this isn't really a very good matchup. I think they're going to be able to throw to the slot a little bit there with the Jets. Robert, what else you got here? Oh, so back to Conan with the waiver wire, guys. You got Matt Breida, Wilkins, Beasley. Cole Beasley's your player. Go Cole Beasley. He has 400-yard games this season. Stephon Diggs is going to see a lot of Chris Harris today. So I think this is going to be a big Cole Beasley game. I think he gets plenty of targets. I think he gets you at least 70 yards. Good chance of scoring a touchdown. And I think that would work out very well. Thank you. Let's see here. Kelly, Richardson, or Wilkins. Again, Wilkins is not a terrible play this week. So, again, he's not going to get a ton of carries, but if he gets hot, he will stay in the game a little longer. So, I definitely like Wilkins there. All right, let's see here. So, all right, let me see here. We got confidant with A.J. Brown. So, A.J. Brown, we know he didn't produce against him the last time. He dropped like a 70-yard touchdown. He bobbled it twice, couldn't pull it in. I still think they're going to get him some targets. And I think at the end of the day, A.J. Brown, like I said, I know that game was terrible. But I think he has to be in the lineups because if they get him 7 targets, he eventually was going to break something. You're going to kick yourself if you've got him in on the bench and he ends up getting enough targets and he could break a play at any time. He's one of those guys you kind of got to live with that. Let me scroll this down a little bit. I think a bunch of questions pop through here. All right. Melvin, Gordon, Drake. So New England can't stop anybody on the ground. You're welcome, Robert. So they can't stop anybody. So I think this is a good game for Drake. Even if he gets 15 carries, the probability for 80 yards in this game against that defense, that is there. The yards per carry could be a good yards per carry game for Drake here. Gordon's in a terrible spot here because the quarterback mess, which I'll talk about in a minute, isn't helping him in the passing game at all. And I just think Drake is much safer here because New Orleans is playing championship-level defense the last few weeks. All right, so the Kendall Hinton stuff, look, he's a practice squad dude. He's a wide receiver. He played some quarterback in college. He doesn't know the offense. He has no rapport with any receivers on the team, doesn't know the game plan. He's playing a championship-level defense. Does he get you 7 points? Maybe, possibly, hopefully. Does he get you negative points? Possibly. He could get sacked, fumbled, pick sixth, emergency, desperation, hope for a few points. Sure. If they're smart, Royce Freeman's running some Wildcat. They're trying their best to make a play or two out of the Wildcat. Freeman at least knows the personnel. He knows the game plan, which will have to change because of no quarterback, but he understands their philosophies. So Freeman, I think, is a better play, but I'm not playing Freeman more than an emergency RB2, an emergency flex, because, again, I'm hoping for 5 to 10 points out of Freeman. That's what I'm hoping for. Will not give Kendall Hinton the time of day. Look, there are quarterbacks that step into a game and they're buried. He has no chance. I just don't see a world. His receivers aren't going to get separation against that defense either. So I don't know what he does. And as a runner, can't even tell you what he can do as a runner. And if he doesn't get his block knocked off, too, if he doesn't even know how to read the block protections. So there's just way too much going on there. All right. Robert, wide receiver 3. You need Myers, Reynolds, Fulgham. You know what? Reynolds is seeing like 8 to 10 targets a week. There's nothing scary about the 49ers. Sherman's expected back. Sherman usually plays on the opposite side of the field from where Reynolds would typically line up. And so I think Reynolds continues to see the target share. I think he's a very solid play this week. Fulgham we're concerned about just because of the late output. We love the matchup. But again, they're just distributing targets across 5 guys equally. So right now, I think Reynolds has been a solid player, and I think you keep going that route. Again, Myers, I like him too. He only missed 1 snap last week. He didn't have the production. But I think right now, based on the way things are going, Reynolds has been solid for a while. He's put up at least 45 yards in maybe something like 6 or 7 games. I know it's not much, but he does something every week, and he seems to be becoming a bigger part of that offense as the weeks go on. All right, anybody there? We got plays all over. You can ask questions. Go right ahead. Let me see here. All right, Fantasy Kid. We got E here. Better DST play. Browns against the Jags, Seahawks against the Eagles. I am definitely going to go with the Browns here. I know Myles Garrett and their other backup 2 defensive ends behind him are out. They still have Larry Ogunjobi. They still got Sheldon Richardson. They got Olivier Vernon. I know their secondary is garbage, but it's Mike Glennon. And so I think at the end of the day, you got 3 guys that are good defensive linemen. And I think at the end of the day, if Glennon's going to be throwing the ball at all, even to backup secondary guys, let me bet against Mike Glennon as opposed to the Eagles, because the Seahawks pressure and blitz a lot to make things happen. But there's a lot of scenarios where the Eagles can put a lot of offense on the board here on the national stage. So go with the Browns there. Eckler. So conflicting reports. I'm expecting a good workload of Eckler because Ballage is out, which helps. So I think they're going to have to lean on him more. They've given up on Josh Kelly, I think, because obviously you're putting Kalen Ballage and you've kind of done that. So Austin Eckler is a great opportunity. All right. So maybe he sees a little bit minimized work, but he's still Austin Eckler. The last game before he got hurt, he saw like double-digit targets from Justin Herbert. They activated him. I assume he's ready to go. Look, McCaffrey came back a few weeks ago. When he came back, I know his shoulder's a different injury. He came back, played at a normal level. I think we see a pretty fairly normal performance of Eckler. You've got him, start him. Unless you've got some elite option, I'm going to play him in DFS today. 6,100 on DraftKings. I'm going to play him. You know what? Sure, something could happen, but they've activated him. I'm going to count on Austin Eckler today. All right. Oh, I can't read that name. I'll just say Pretty. All right, I can't read the rest of that on there, or else I'll get in some trouble. All right, Edmunds or Benny Snell. So first of all, Edmunds gets about half of the work, on and off with the production. Still an elite, talented player. Doesn't see that a lot, but he is. He really is. New England's terrible against the run. So I think that Edmunds gets some run here. He does well. And also, I can't advocate starting any players in that Baltimore-Pittsburgh game. My gut tells me at some point tomorrow or tonight, the NFL is going to say they don't have enough players to play. And at some point, that outbreak is getting worse. Mark Andrews went on the list today. Somebody, Matt Judon went on the list. For the safety of the players, they're going to have to cancel that game. They may not, but I can't, especially the borderline like Benny Snell, can't endorse it. All right. Let's see. That's all right. Tonyan or Robert Tonyan or Kyle Rudolph. So, yeah, Rudolph has the advantage of Irv Smith being out. I think that, look, they may throw the ball 20 times, but who are their options, right? They got Jefferson. Thielen's out, to my knowledge. That was supposed to be like 99% out. I haven't seen a report on it. If somebody gets it, you can post that for me. And haven't been able to keep up being active while I'm talking to you guys. But so Rudolph's a fine play here. I think you go with Rudolph over Tonyan. The Bears aren't good against the tight end. Tonyan could do something, but they throw it to Sternberger a lot. But at least with no Irv Smith, I think we could get 4 to 6 targets out of Rudolph. And in this matchup, that's not bad. I think we go with Rudolph there. All right, Robert, what do we got here? Gesicki, Hurst, Rudolph, or Jordan Reed. Jordan Reed comes into this one nicked up. That always concerns me, a non-100% Jordan Reed. Rudolph, we just said, is not a bad option. You know, it's because so the thing with Gesicki is, now the guy I'm blanking on, there's a third receiver. I can't think of his name. Miami's, it was a guy that's been running in the slot lately. I'm sorry, his name evades me. He's a lesser known guy. I'll think of it on the fly later. He's been getting elevated targets at the expense of Gesicki. And so I think the problem is Gesicki has been varying with the targets. We know the talent's elite, production's not. Hurst has done nothing when Julio doesn't play. So I just think we go with Rudolph. We hope for that 4 to 6 targets. We hope he cashes through, maybe scores a touchdown. If Reed was 100%, I'd say Reed. But again, a non-100% Jordan Reed scares me. All right, let's see what we got here. Yeah, no doubt, living with it. I totally get that. Believe me. All right, locks today for DFS. Man, that's I have players. I don't have my sheet up for that. I'm gonna see what I can find. I think the Raiders are going to. I think Darren Waller. I think you pay up for Darren Waller today. I think you do. Atlanta gets most points at the tight end. Can't stop anybody there. I think he's a phenomenal play here. Cheaper, I like Eckler. 9,500 for Dalvin Cook. But again, I know if you look at Carolina's numbers, their fantasy points against aren't crazy, but nobody gets more than 15 carries against them. But this week, Cook probably gets 25 or 30. You spend up that 9,500. Brian Hill is a real nice play. Free square. Definitely like Brian Hill against the Raiders. He is active in the passing game. Ito Smith will get in a little bit, but Hill was getting 3 targets in a lot of games when Gurley was there. So I think that's a great play there. Devontae Parker, absolutely love him. If Jakeem Grant's hamstring was healthy, I'd love him, but I always worry like a midweek injury, and that gets me very, very nervous. Hayden Hurst is active. Julio, we knew, is inactive. Trying to scroll for some injuries here. Russell Okung for the Panthers, important left tackle, is active. That's big. Colts are without center Ryan Kelly. That's a little bit, but they do have their left guard though. They're 2 more questionable. Kelly's out. That's not great, but it's not terrible. All right. Let me check for the Ryan Grant thing real quick here, guys. Ryan Grant is active. So in DFS, look, Fitzpatrick's a great play. He could put up a ton of points. Jets are good against the run, like worst against the pass. They have like no cornerbacks. So Parker's a great play. Fitz is a great play. If you're willing to take a risk that Jakeem Grant's hammy holds up, he could have a big game as well. There's definitely an opportunity there. Like those. There's some players like, if you have questions about DFS players, post those. I'll answer them for you. Fulgham or Ronald Jones. So Kansas City will give up yardage on the ground. We always know the deal with Jones, but lately his role seems a bit more secure than it was. So I think that at this point, we got to just hope that Bruce Arians doesn't go on one of his whims and do something crazy. But I think we can go with Jones here. Fulgham, I love Fulgham. He has a great athletic profile. I think he's going to be a star in the league. But I don't like the last couple of weeks that he's getting targets, but they split those targets among 5 guys. And the Seahawks are a great matchup. But Jones has produced lately. Fulgham hasn't. I think at this point, we kind of go with what's working. And if Fulgham right now, There are leagues I have to start. I'm in some super deep leagues, 14 teams, 3 flexes, plus 3 receivers. So got to start them in some leagues. But I think you go with Jones there. I think it's just, the way we got to look at it. And Jones could have a good game. All right. My watch has ended. Glad to see you here. Conan, I get you in a second. All right. Confidence level, the Steelers-Raven game goes. Look, I honestly, I think this game is less than 30% likely to go. Now, it's just me. I'm a random dude. I follow football real well. But, I mean, they keep adding players to the COVID list, and more tests are going to come up positive tomorrow, I'm sure. At some point, they're going to have to say it's not safe to play this game. It's not like the Denver game today where Denver's not a contender and they're, 3 quarterbacks are out, but New Orleans is a contender. That's a big game. And maybe they're not thinking about that. But I just have to think they don't play that game. I could be wrong. I have very little confidence played. I won't play any Steelers or Ravens at all because of that uncertainty. Can't take the 0. And if the league announces it tomorrow, we're all stuck. All right, Conan, a couple of my favorite player props. Got 3 of them today. Justin Jefferson over the yardage. These are, again, when I do the props, they're based on player, matchup, and then ancillary injuries that make the player better. So my bet's up in front of me here. Actually, let me open my picture here because I got it there. So I like Pittman over the yardage receiving, Justin Jefferson over the yardage receiving. Send this picture to some people and I ask for a prop, and Darren Waller. So Waller's 57.5 yards, depending on wherever your book is. Pittman's 52.5 yards, and Jefferson 73.5 yards. But the deal with Jefferson is whenever he's been more than 5 targets, he's blown over 100 yards. Even if they throw 20 times, I think he gets 8 or 9 of those targets, and no Adam Thielen, so that's huge. So those are the 3 props I like today. Again, they're all process plays. Don't know that they always hit. We have mixed results, but the process, I can tell you, is sterling. Guarantee you that the work has been put into that. All right, Greg. Must win for you this week, PPR. Right now, you have Jalen Reagor and Michael Pittman in, which are 2 great choices. Higgins and Drake as options. So I am a little concerned about Higgins. I love the player, but Brandon Allen at quarterback, he had a little success in a couple games last year with Denver, threw 2 touchdowns and one of the other. His yardage wasn't high. But I think right now, Pittman is a definite play. Pittman has become, and I know he had 3 targets last week, but again, he had Jair Alexander on him. It was a very, very difficult matchup, and I think Rivers just kind of looked away from that. But he still came through with like 60-something yards, and I believe he scored. So it was a good game. So I think Pittman is emerging as the alpha. And this week, he had 7 for 101 against that same defense a few weeks ago. So I definitely think we fire him up. So on the other ones, so Reagor does get targets. He's in that mix of 5 guys where they split him, and it is a wonderful matchup. But Reagor hasn't really done it yet. I think Drake is a safer play. Drake's in a great spot. New England can't stop the run, and they're going to have to be concerned with the passing. They're not going to look to take out Kenyon Drake. So I think Kenyon Drake, if he gets 15 carries, he gets you a real solid fantasy day. So I think he's safer, and I think he has some upside as well, whereas Reagor has some upside, but he has a lot of floor. So I really think you go with Drake here. Higgins, we got to see. I just Brandon Allen, very hard for me to count on him being able to get the ball to him. And maybe he throws to Boyd, maybe he throws to Eifert. When he played last year, he locked in on Cortland Sutton, he locked in on Noah Fant. And so maybe Higgins does get some of that love. It's just a very difficult call here. And the Giants have been sneaky decent on defense too. All right. Montgomery or Gordon? Yeah, it's a tough call. So you hate to endorse Montgomery, but Green Bay is awful against the run. The Bears don't have an offensive line, so they don't get much room to run. He does get targets. He plays 85% of the snaps. Gordon is facing a championship-level defense right now. Saints last 3 weeks have been lights out. And also, I think that they're going to just put a ton of pressure up because they don't really have a quarterback, so they're not worried about a quarterback beating them. So I'm going to say Montgomery here. Tough choice, but I think Montgomery does better than Gordon. Gordon just have nowhere to go. I just don't see a scenario where there's room for him to roll. All right, Justin, you start Jerry, Judy, Shepard, Nelson, Aguilar in the flex. So Judy doesn't have their top 3 quarterbacks are all out with COVID. So it's either going to be Royce Freeman or a practice squad receiver. I had it earlier and the name just evades me because it's new to my radar. He was not a player on anybody's radar before. Anyway, so I think we just sit Judy there. And Judy's going to have, anyway, has Marshawn Lattimore on him. So good luck even there, right? So Sterling Shepard is in a really good spot. They split targets. Shepard is your floor play. You want to get yourself 6 to 10 safe points, maybe upside for more. That's great. If you're an underdog in your game and you have to hit very strong point-wise, Aguilar is facing a terrible pass defense, but we know there's weeks where he sees 2 or 3 targets and he does nothing. But this is a game where if they give him targets and he actually catches the ball, that is an issue for him. He could easily cross 100 yards and a touchdown here. Hold on. Yeah. No, thank you for asking. Thank you. Okay, so anyway, that is kind of what we're looking at there. I so say Aguilar for upside, Shepard for your floor. All right, let's get back here and see. We got Kendall Hinton or Mitch Trubisky. I don't think it's a tough call. I think Mitch Trubisky is going to be fine. He's going to run for some yardage. And, Packers are really good at pass defense. But I think Trubisky throws for 180 yards. I think he throws for 1 touchdown. I think he runs for 35, 40 yards. I think he's going to run this week. I think the shoulder's good enough for him to run. I don't think Kendall Hinton's going to get – I think 7 fantasy points would be like a gold mine for him because he doesn't know the offense. He doesn't know the players. He doesn't know the scheme. He doesn't know the game plan. He played a little bit in college as a quarterback, but transitioned back to wide receiver. So he's not even a real quarterback. And he's playing a championship level defense. Is there a chance that New Orleans doesn't show up? Yes, but even then, I mean, they Marshawn Lattimore, they got a good secondary. I don't know how he cobbles together fantasy points. I just don't see, I don't know who Kendall Hinton is. Nobody does. He's a practice squad receiver, right? I go with Mr. Trubisky there. Hayden Hurst or Austin Hooper. Hayden Hurst has done absolutely nothing whenever Julio Jones out there. Small sample size, I get it. The games where Julio plays, Hurst does well. The games Julio misses, he's horrible. Like, doesn't show up. Hooper, I know they may throw the ball only 20 times, but Hooper could get 5 targets. Jacksonville's defense is absolutely horrible. I'm going with Hooper there because I know it's small sample size with Hurst, but it's just very frustrating with it. Dustin, you trade Todd Gurley and Jerry Jeudy for DeAndre Swift and Christian Kirk. That sounds like a winner to me. Gurley, he has degenerative knee issues, arthritis in the knee. Same knee is injured right now. Maybe a 1-week injury, maybe a done for the season. We don't know. So getting rid of a guy like that right now is fine. Don't know what the quarterback situation will be like. Judy's a nice player, but DeAndre Swift is a league winner. Man, if he would have played Thursday, he would have put up 35 fantasy points. I know that. Their running backs together did. He would have gone up. So anytime you get DeAndre Swift, do it. And Christian Kirk, yeah, excellent player. Allen Robinson or Justin Jefferson? I've got to go Justin Jefferson. I know Robinson typically gets about 70 yards a game. He'll have Jair Alexander on him most of the day. Now, Robinson moves to the slot 30, 40% of the time, so he'll avoid Alexander sometime. But look, Justin Jefferson, in every game he's got more than 5 targets. He's been over 100 yards. There's no Adam Thielen. Even if Cook runs the ball 30 times, which is possible, they're going to throw 15, 20. With no Adam Thielen, no Irv Smith, Justin Jefferson has to get 8 targets. His odds of hitting 100 yards are strong. And his odds of having a blow-up game are there as well. I'm going to go with Justin Jefferson there. And I love Allen Robinson. He's one of my favorite players in the league. All right. Johnny Football, I got you earlier on that one. Excellent. All right. Andres, good. Giants over the Browns defense. What I like about the Browns is they're playing Mike Glennon. And I know they're without their corners. Denzel Ward's out, and Greedy's been on the IR all season, and we know Myles Garrett's out. But they still have 3 good defensive linemen: Ogunjobi, Sheldon Richardson, and they've got Olivier Vernon on the other side. And I think that's enough. I think Mike Glennon's going to see his share of pressure, and we know how that ends. So I like and I know Cincinnati, the Giants are facing Cincinnati, Brandon Allen at quarterback. But Cincinnati at least has some weapons to go with. Jacksonville's without Chark, they're without Conley. So I'm going to say I like the Browns. You can't go wrong with either one, but I think the Browns have the potential to make something happen because they still have 3 good pass rushers. All right, let's see what we got here. Message restricted. That's like somebody probably swore at me. Uh-oh, I probably deserved it. All right, Justin, Jonnu Smith or Hayden Hurst? So I do make this mention frequently. Hayden Hurst, the issue with him is in small sample size. Whenever Julio hasn't played, he's done nothing. When Julio plays, he does very well. Jonnu Smith's seen 6 targets each of the last 2 games, and Adam Humphries, the slot guy's out. So the potential for those 6 targets are there again. So I'm going to say Jonnu Smith, and I know there's downside of both, but I do think he's the better play here. Michael, all right, Julio out. Who starts in the flex? Bernard Davis or Mostert? Mostert's back. And I know the Rams are great on defense, but Mostert is a special player. And we've seen it this year. He does need a lot of carries. And so you know what? Mostert, the way he's played, I'm going to say Mostert. Bernard has needed situations and it hasn't always worked his way. And Mike Davis, he is what he is. He's good in small doses. When he first came out, he was great. And we saw the more he played, the less effective he was. So Raheem Mostert, I'm going to go with Mostert and say that's a pretty solid call there. All right, see what else we got here. Kevon, Jordan Reed or Austin Hooper? Now you guys keep hearing me talking about both of these guys. Good questions today. So Browns may not throw a lot, but Hooper could see 4 targets in this game. They're playing Jacksonville. Jacksonville's a horrible defense. Hooper has a decent chance for a touchdown. The only thing I don't like about Jordan Reed is the fact that he has an injury. He's limited. He's questionable. And a non-100% Jordan Reed with Nick Mullins at quarterbacks, it gets me a little nervous. So I think I go with Hooper here. If Reed was not on the injury report, I think this would be Reed easily, but it's not an easy matchup. The Rams have been like a lights-out defense here. So I'm going to go with Hooper there. I think Hooper's a little safer, and I don't know that Reed has a lot of upside because I don't know how many points the 49ers are actually scoring here. All right, let's see what we got here. Like Zuhaib, hope I got that name right. Brady or Cam Newton? You can attack the Chiefs underneath. And what's important here is the times of the games, too. The Brady game's later. And the Ali Marpet injury, the left guard, that's big. Because if he's out, Chris Jones could be in Brady's face all day. I still think, though, that you can attack the Chiefs short, and Godwin and Brown play into that. And I think they can move the ball that way. So I think Brady's in good shape. Newton is, Arizona is good against the run. They're bad against the pass. But at the end of the day, Newton hasn't been a very good quarterback. He's had a couple of matchups. Blew up Houston, who's terrible. Arizona's better than that. Arizona's going to blitz, too. And that's going to be a problem for him. He's not going to handle that blitz as well. He's not like a younger Cam Newton. Let's go with Tom Brady there because I think underneath weapons come through for him, and I think he makes enough happen here. All right, Robert, good. You've got Darrell Henderson or Samaje Perine. Let's say, right, that wouldn't be a question normally. But overall, Henderson will probably see about 40% of the snaps. And 49ers have still been really good against the run. But Henderson has some big playability. He potentially could break a 30-yard run. He could do that. And he's catching a couple of passes. I don't know how much Cincinnati's in the red zone today with Brandon Allen. And Perine would be really dependent upon a short touchdown, I would think. And I don't know that they're going to be in the red zone enough for that to happen. So I'm going to go with Darrell Henderson here. I think that's the way we go on that one. All right, 901. Flex, full PPR, Hines or DJ Moore? Man, it's a tough question. Hines tore up Tennessee last time he played them. And, and clearly Jonathan Taylor's not in the mix today, so he certainly has every opportunity to do that again. DJ Moore, here's my concern. Now, you guys hear me all over this. I love DJ Moore. Teddy Bridgewater is coming back from a knee injury. It wasn't serious, but he certainly is going to have some struggles probably with the knee. So I think he's going to get the ball out quicker than usual. Moore is the further depth of target guy. So I think the quicker passes go to Anderson. They go to Samuel. And I think that and Moore can always take a play to the house. So we always understand that. But I think your safer play this week is Nyheim Hines. All right, let's see what else you got here. Come on. Evan Ingram or Hayden Hurst, and I've probably said this 5 times, right? Don't know when people are in and out, but Hurst, small sample size, has not done anything when Julio's off the field. Julio's out. Ingram has a good matchup. We don't know. The targets were really good for like 4 games, and then they fell through the floor. But I think Ingram gets enough targets here. Coming out the bye, hopefully they have that worked out too. I'm going to say Evan Ingram is a safer play for you this week. Scott, you said Thielen. My guess is there? I can't follow the inactives right now because I'm streaming, but I assume Thielen's out. If anybody heard anything on Thielen, post it for me. My assumption was he was out. And let me just see if I have anything on the screen here. Eckler's playing. Yeah, if anybody had anything, my assumption is Thielen is out. He's like 99% not expected to play. And that was the assumption. So if you have something that you need me to know, add to it so I can answer it better. Jakeem Grant. So he apparently is playing. He had an in-week hamstring injury. So there is potential for injury. I don't know how serious it was. It was just some tiny minor thing. But if Jakeem Grant is right, absolute smash spot because Fitz is at quarterback. He's got 4.39 wheels. The Jets have no cornerbacks. They cut their left cornerback 2 weeks ago. The right cornerback is out. They couldn't cover to start. Parker's going to have a big game. But if Fitz is going to throw for 300 yards, Grant's their number 2, and they have no answer for him. Obviously, if they double, they're going to double Parker. So I do love Jakeem Grant this week. There is risk for re-injury. I don't know how serious or mild the injury was. There was no information given on that. All right, let's see what else we got here. Michael, Julio. Oh, I think we went through that one already. And Justin, Deontay, Hines, or Robinson in the flex. So I am not recommending we play any Ravens or Steelers if you have an option, because I am super concerned that game gets canceled. And it could be tomorrow. They could just say more COVID cases. At this point, we have to stop it. Fantasy managers can't take that risk of a 0, I don't believe. If you have a league where they allow you to, make a conditional start because of COVID, there are a couple of leagues like that, and great. Otherwise, I'm going to say Hines has a better ceiling than Robinson. Robinson have Jair Alexander, number 1 graded corner by PFF, and also Trubisky's in there. Now, I think Robinson has a better floor, because Robinson's going to get his, 6 catches, 70 yards, something like this. You're going to get that, even with Alexander. They move him in the slot enough to avoid him. But I think Hines is your upside play. So based on what your lineup needs are, take the safe 10 or so points at Robinson, but no with Hines, especially with no Jonathan Taylor, Hines killed his defense a couple weeks ago, and I think it's another opportunity here. All right, let's see what else we got here. Greg. Must win this week. Hopefully you do win. PPR. Right now you have Pittman and Rager, but also have Drake and Higgins. I want to say I saw this one already. Maybe somebody else asked that one. Let's see here. I am going to say that we're going to – let's see. Why did I think I answered that one? I think I answered that one already. But I'm going to give a quick answer because I think I answered it already. But Pittman is definitely in. Drake, I think, is the best play. Rager has downside and upside because he hasn't really done it yet, but he splits targets with a lot of guys. I think Drake is a great matchup. I think we go with him. Great question, Greg. I hope you win. Good luck. Thomas, good. You lost Lamar going against Mahomes. Big underdog in your matchup. Fitz all day long. Fitz. There is a world where Fitz gets 300 yards and 3 touchdowns, and it's not a stretch. Jets are decent against the run. They have no cornerbacks. They couldn't cover when they did have cornerbacks. Big Parker day. If Jakeem Grant's hamstring holds up, great day for him. Yeah, Thielen's out as expected. That's why I'm playing Jefferson in the prop today. I love the prop on Justin Jefferson. Anytime he's got more than 5 targets in the game, he's completely cleaned house. Amazing matchup, even if Dalvin Cook goes off here. That's what I expected. All right, let's see what else we got here. We got that one. Good. Thanks, Conan. Thielen up front. Now, guys, I expected. Thank you so much. Tisha, good morning here. Ben Seller, Melvin Gordon. Okay, so I'm not advocating we play any Steelers or Ravens because I think there's a great chance this game gets canceled. And if it does, you take the 0. We can't do that. So Melvin Gordon, not an optimal matchup, but he should get double-digit touches, and at least there's some value. And we don't even know whether Royce Freeman plays or Hinton plays a quarterback, but if they can dump him the ball, he could get a couple catches too for you. I just can't risk that 0 with Snell. I think we got to go with Melvin Gordon. Justin, Hines, or Brian Hill. So you know what? I think in the worst-case scenario, they get similar touches, in which case I think they both are in good spots, but I think Hines has real upside. We've seen him score multiple touchdowns in the game, and Hill can score, but I think Hines shredded his defense a couple weeks ago, and Hill will give some work up to Edo Smith. So, all right, let's put it this way. If you want a safe 8 to 10 points, I think Brian Hill's your guy. If you need to swing for upside, I think Hines does have that upside. If Wilkins gets hot, unlikely but possible, then you could see Hines lose a little workload there. So that's, I think, the way we're going to frame that one. All right, Robert. Graham, Eifert, or Burton. Burton has fallen off. I loved him earlier. I used him. He saved me a couple of games, and now he's kind of disappeared. Eifert's a good play. I know Glennon's in there. They're going to have to throw the ball to somebody. Both outside receivers are out. He's going to be under pressure. Eifert has seen some targets. Reliable in the middle of the field. We call him reliable. That's a joke, right? But I think Eifert gets 5 targets in this game. Jimmy Graham. He could always score a touchdown. In most games, he gets you 30 yards. Most games. I think he had a 0 or something the last game they played. You know what? Let's go with Graham here because Graham, at least we know, will get targets. And when Trubisky was in earlier in the season, Graham did get targets. So let's go with Graham here because he does get targets. And he is a red zone. I'm not going to get there much, but he's an option there. In the revenge game. Yeah, exactly. I like that. Revenge that he had Aaron Rodgers and couldn't cash the check with him. I like it, Robert. But I'd go Jimmy Graham. DGRR, should he play Chris Carson or stick to? So Carson had a foot injury and he missed like 4 games. You can't run when you have a foot injury. So his conditioning can't be there, right? So I think we go with James Robinson, solid workload. We know we got a big floor, but we don't know that Carson's foot even holds up here. We don't know what his conditioning is. So I think when we're nearing the fantasy playoffs, I think we have a good option. I think we stick with James Robinson. All right, good on there. And let's see who we got here. Tommy. All right, what do you got here? You got Chase Edmunds or Matt Breida. We don't know how much work Breida is going to get. And the fact that he did well in that San Francisco running scheme, we're starting to wonder if it was more of a scheme thing as to why he did well. And I'm trying to look at the inactive report. I think Myles Gaskin is playing here. Let me check their inactives. So I think Gaskin's expected to play. They did activate him from injuries, but I don't see him on the inactive list. I think he plays. And especially in that case, I think we definitely go with Chase Edmunds, who's going to get in the neighborhood of 8 touches, and New England's terrible on defense, and Edmunds can make a big play at any time. So I think you go with Chase Edmunds there. All right, let's see what we got here. All right, Thomas. Here we go, Thomas. You just had Tommy, now we got Thomas. All right, half PPR. Keep A-Rob with Jair, yep, number 1 per PFF, and Mitch playing, or go with Rager. A-Rob goes in the slot 30, 40% of the time, so he will avoid him quite a bit. Trubisky learned last year that you throw the ball at Allen Robinson, even if he doesn't appear to be open. Robinson can make the contested catches as well as most receivers in the league. So I think in this specific case, I think we just say, you know what? He'll be in the slot enough, and Allen Robinson will make his plays. The fact that Trubisky has a little bit of mobility helps too, whereas Foles is a statue. He got killed in that Minnesota game because he couldn't move. But so I think we go to Allen Robinson and just say he's done it with Mitch before, and let's keep going that road. Rager has a lot of downside. He has upside, but he has a lot of downside because he hasn't really done it yet. Myers, again, he played all but 1 snap last week, so he still is in the mix. But right now, I think I would definitely go down. I'd hate to have Allen Robinson on the bench and have him go for 80 yards and a touchdown, which is always in that easy range of outcomes. And I don't want to miss that one. Conan, Gaskin out today. Thank you. That helps me a lot. Good, because there was nothing on the feed I'm looking at here. They listen to that. So I still think Breida's a dicey play. I think we're going to see some Patrick Laird in there. And again, I'm very concerned that Breida was a product of that San Francisco Kyle Shanahan running system. And I think that was where he got a lot of his production from, and they've really soured on him. He's had opportunities, they haven't used him. So I think that it's going to be more of a pass-heavy attack. Jets are good against the run, surprisingly. They actually are. But you can pass all day on them. I think that's the route they go. Scott, this league intends to play Tuesday as an outbreak comes day, which it might, because Andrews was listed this morning, and so was Matt Judon. And hey, they could test tomorrow, and we could have another 5 cases. There's no way this outbreak is over because they've had so many players over the last 5 days. So I like that. Thank you for sharing that, Scott. Schefter's report. We trust Adam Schefter, but I like how he said unless an outbreak comes up today. And look, it's a pandemic and numbers multiply frequently. I don't know, this isn't political, all right? This just is what it is. But the numbers all week have been going up for them. And so I think there's a good chance they could have another number of cases, in which case they may have to pull the plug in that game. Again, I'm telling fantasy managers, risk aversion here. If you can afford the 0, go ahead. If you can't risk the 0, you have to use what you have in front of you. If you get burned by it, it's Baltimore's defense hasn't been hit as hard as the offense. So the Steelers' offensive players, it's still a tough game for them. It's not an easy game. So that's important to know. And the Baltimore offense has been ravaged by it. And they're playing the Pittsburgh defense. So I really don't like the Baltimore options here because I don't know what they're going to do. It's a divisional game, but they're missing a lot of critical pieces. It's a good question, guys. Very good question. Always. All right, come on. Jordan Reed or Rudolph? If Reed was 100%, I'd say Reed. He comes into this game limited with an injury. They're playing a great defense. Rudolph should get you 4 to 6 targets here. No Irv Smith. They might not throw a lot, but he will probably be a second option in the offense behind Justin Jefferson. So I think Rudolph's your safer play here. If Reed was 100%, I'd say Reed. And what else we got here? Montgomery or James White? So I expect, we don't know what will happen, right? I expect Arizona gets a lead in this game. James White, once Burkhead went out last week, he resumed that passing down role, and he saw plenty of targets. I expect they trail. I expect he sees targets, which would make it a really, really strong game for him. There's downside with James White, because if they don't fall behind, then they might go with Damian Harris. Sony Michel is active. Possibilities there. Montgomery is safer. Bad defense against the run. They're great against the pass, Green Bay. But Montgomery has no offensive line. Montgomery is a pretty much safe 6 to 9 points. You're going to get that out of him. If you're PPR, half PPR, James White has more downside. He has more upside. So base your decision on if you need that safe 6 to 9 points. I think Montgomery is good for that. He plays 85% of the snaps roughly every week. So I think that's, it's a good way to look at that. All right, Rob, glad you're here, man. Bird, Higgins, Reynolds, need floor, Reynolds. It's been between 7 and 10 targets each of the last 4 games. Richard Sherman's expected back. He typically plays on the offensive right, which is the defensive left side of the field, which means that would be more of Robert Woods, who frequently lines up there. Reynolds often lines up on the offensive left, which is the defensive right, and that would be the weaker side to attack. He's getting targets every week, and I think there's no reason to expect that. Frisco's very good against the run, so there will have to be some passing attack here. All right, I'm going to take these last couple questions here, and man's got to eat some lunch here before kickoff. We'll work our butts off on Sunday, anything like that. Randy, good to see you as well, man. You need one running back and a flex. Gallman, Hill, Harris, Beasley. Love Cole Beasley today. He has 400-yard games this season. I think that Chris Harris, the cornerback who returns for the Chargers, will be on Diggs, whether he's in the slot or outside, because he's that one rare corner that could do both. So I think there's a big Cole Beasley day today. I love Cole Beasley. Definitely want to go with him. And then running back, Hill and Gallman are really your options, as you're saying here. Hinton, I think there's a chance that he doesn't do a single thing because he doesn't know the offense, doesn't know the players. I have no idea how he functions against a championship level defense, which New Orleans has been the last few weeks. Damian Harris can be game scripted out of this one if they fall behind. So I really like Brian Hill more than I like Gallman. Gallman's been playing well. Hill probably loses a little bit of work to Ito Smith. Hill's an explosive player. Gallman's been running really hard. It is a coin flip between them. If you have a gut feel, go with it. In that Raiders game against Hill, I do like Brian Hill there, but I don't think you can go wrong with Hill or Gallman. Trust your gut. I say Hill, but it's 50-50 on this one. It's a great one. But Beasley for sure. I definitely have Beasley in there. Tommy, Edmunds, and Breida both projected around 10. Yeah, I just don't see Breida getting 10. Jets are pretty good against the run. Breida doesn't have the offensive line he had in San Francisco. They haven't used him. I think that they don't have confidence in him. I think Patrick Laird gets in. Edmunds, yes, he gets less touches. He's an explosive player against a bad run defense. I can't say Breida has a floor. I can't even say he has a solid floor. At least we know Edmunds is going to play 45% of the snaps. That's what he's been the last couple of weeks. So I think that's useful. And if they get a lead, Kyler's banged up. And so I don't know they want Kyler to throw the ball all day. And I think they may want to protect him. And if they do, that's going to be both Edmunds and Drake getting some work. Scott, Singletary or Breida? I got to say Singletary there. Chargers have been awful against the run. They're missing both left defensive ends, which hurts. They're not a strong front seven. Singletary gets about half of the work. I've seen nothing with Breida with the Dolphins that makes me think that he's going to do anything. Again, I think he was a product of the Shanahan system when San Francisco. I think he's just a guy right now. Singletary has some talent. He'll get work. I think he's way safer than Breida. All right, let's see what else we got here. Take on Cincy receivers. All right, Cashman. Brandon Allen, when he played those couple games last year for Denver, locked in on Cortland Sutton and Noah Fant. They had some production. Passing yard wasn't big. He had 2 touchdowns in one in the other. I would think middle of the field is safe. I think Tyler Boyd is most likely to see targets. I think these quarterbacks like Allen that are, marginal talents, I think the middle of the field is their friend. Now, T. Higgins goes to the slot 45% of the time, so he could get some work there. So So I think obviously you're not playing AJ Green anyway. Higgins is now a wide receiver 3 to flex, is where he's a wide receiver 2 with upside. I think you move him there. I think Tyler Boyd probably is like a wide receiver 3 as well. I think they all kind of cannibalize each other. This could be a lower scoring game. The Giants could come in. I can see the Giants laying an egg here as well. So I think it's a lower scoring game, but I think they're all just kind of like they'll get some work, but I don't think anybody goes off here. All right, let's see what else we got here. Miami D or the Browns. I know the Browns are without Myles Garrett and their backup defensive ends. I know Denzel Ward's out, but they're playing Mike Lennon. And I do like that. Whereas at least with the Jets, they first have to get their 3 receivers healthy. Darnold, and I don't like Darnold, but they got 3 healthy receivers, and I think they can move the ball enough. And Miami doesn't have a great pass rush. So I'm going to go with the Browns with their other 3 guys can still create pass rush. Robert, P. Ryan or Darrell Henderson, coin flip. I'm going to go with Darrell Henderson. I don't think they're going to get P. Ryan needs a touchdown, and I don't know how much they're in the red zone today. Henderson could break a long play at any time. Hinton or Eckler? Eckler by a long shot. I think Eckler's going to play well today. I think he's going to have himself a pretty good day. Hinton, I have no confidence that he will do anything, much less even play a lot of snaps, because he doesn't know the offense. He doesn't know the players. I don't know. He played some quarterback in college. That does nothing for me. I'd rather have Royce Freeman in the Wildcat. Don't know what they'll do. That would give them a little bit of a chance because at least Freeman understands some of the team concepts. Have no confidence in Hinton here. Randy, running back and flex and standard. Gallman, Hill, Damian Harris, or Beasley. Beasley for sure. I want to say I feel like I answered these, but I don't know where they're coming up here, but it's fine. Hill and Gallman is a coin flip. I think I saw a lot of these already. Let me scroll on the bottom. I think I got most of these. Carson, if you have another option, use it. He had a foot injury. I don't know how well he's conditioned during that time. If you have any other option, use it. If you don't, then take a chance on him. Jeff, good to see you, man. Hines or Gordon? I think Hines, because Gordon's going to have a real difficult time finding space today, especially with no real quarterback under center. Hines killed his defense a couple weeks ago, and he matches up real well with no Jonathan Taylor. He's kind of guaranteed touches. Parker Woods, I think Parker goes off. I think Parker goes off for 100 yards and a touchdown, and I think he completely crushes it. Woods lines up a lot on the right. He's going to see a lot of Richard Sherman, who's back today. They do move Woods, but I think overall Parker's in a smash spot with Ryan Fitzpatrick, who loves to throw him the ball. Robert, you're welcome. Good luck. Darian, Hinton versus Eckler. Eckler all day long for sure. I'm going to answer these quick and get going because I got to eat some lunch. Don, Wentz, or Fitz? Fitz. I think Fitz has 300 yards and a couple touchdowns in him for sure. Massive upside here. Wentz, I'm a little worried about, even though despite the great matchup here. And Scott, I think I told you Singletary over him. The Edgar, White or Montgomery. Yeah, I think we went over that. Montgomery has a safer floor, but White has more ceiling. And I think we're in good shape, guys. All right, everybody, good luck today. I am out. Man's got to eat some lunch here. Good luck today. Everybody do well.